Good afternoon. The Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriation, and Housing convenes this public hearing. Public hearing notices were given to the media on Monday, August 12th, on Friday, August 16th, and then the notices, it was rescheduled. Then it was announced again on August 26th, and then on August 22nd. And for the record, today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019, and the time now is 2 o'clock. The committee will hear and accept testimony for the referral of appointment of Gabriel A. Hugo, the position member, Board of Director, Guam Housing Corporation, term length, 6 years. And referral of appointment of Chief Senator Frank T. Sasaki, position member, Board of Commissioners, Guam Housing and Urban Renewal. Term length is 5 years. General rules for public hearing. The conduct of this public hearing shall be as follows. Those testifying will be recognized in the order of sign-up on the sign-in sheet. Written testimony may be read. Lengthy written testimony should be summarized to about 5 minutes. Written testimony shall be submitted to the committee. Please provide our legislative staff with your written testimony for photocopying. Testimony shall be confined to the substance. Person will be allowed to present oral testimony only once. Once you are done, you may be asked to remain in the room for questions or for additional testimony, and may be desired by if any other of my colleagues show up today. Proper form and decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room for these proceedings. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form and decorum may be restricted from providing oral testimony or may be asked to leave or be escorted and removed from the room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and that you speak into the microphone. And please state your name for the record. We will now begin to hear testimony on Mr. Gabriel A. Hugo. Sir, it is now 2:01. You may please introduce yourself and tell us about yourself.
Good afternoon, Senator. My name is Gabriel Hugo. I'm a structural engineer by profession, and I was approached to join the board primarily because I'm an engineer, is my understanding, and that is my expertise. I am not a finance person. I am not a development person. That's what I can offer to the board. I don't have any other statement other than that.
Thank you, sir. I'm also joined by Senator Lee. And, Mr. Hugo, I was looking at your packet, and it's great to know that, you're joined them because of your background in engineering. And I do look forward to, as I do oversee both Guam Housing and GURA, is that you can also assist Mr. Tapasna on if he needed any engineering expertise, which I know he'll enjoy, and he'll take advantage of it when he gets a chance. But Senator Lee, would you like to say anything to Mr. Hugo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And at this time, I'd just like to thank the Governor of Guam and the Lieutenant Governor for nominating you, Mr. Hugo. I know you just on a personal level. Our children have been involved in swimming for many years and related to your wife, so I know that aspect of you. But looking through your packet, I'm really glad that the governor saw it fit to nominate someone of your caliber to serve in this capacity. But really at this time, I'm just grateful to you and your family for saying yes to the governor's request and for being able to serve in this capacity, to serve the people of Guam. One of the things, and I'm not sure if the chair has already covered it, one of the things that we always ask nominees for all these different boards and commissions are twofold. One, about the time commitment, but also in terms of any conflicts of interest. So I looked through your packet, but I just want to give you an opportunity to express that to the committee and also to the people who might be watching. Do you foresee any conflicts of interest with your current personal or business relationships and the work that you might be doing on the board?
As far as conflicts, I understand I'm an engineer. I'm in the business of working with contractors and in construction. I don't foresee a conflict. If there's any projects that G8 Guam Housing is involved with, and I am somewhat involved in that process, I think I can recuse myself. We don't do a lot of work with G8 Guam Housing, so I don't see a conflict there. In terms of any other relationship, not really. I don't see a conflict really. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Gabe. And in terms of committing to the hours that might come into play in terms of preparing for these meetings and being present to ensure that they have quorum, do you foresee any issue with that?
I've served on the appeals board for 8 years, so I know the understanding of the commitment. I understand that this board meets once a month, which is quite a lot, but I understand that's a part of the job. Of course, if something comes up and there's just no way I can make it, then that's part of I guess that's part of it. But I'm willing to commit the time and attend all the meetings. I have a fairly good attendance record at appeals, so I don't see a problem with that.
Thanks so much, Gabe. One last question that I will ask. I know in the last term, several of the senators came together and were part of a women's caucus. And we went up, took a tour of Guma San Jose and, the homeless shelter, and we became aware of some of the issues surrounding homelessness. We met and worked closely with former Senator Chris Duenas and a number of other stakeholders to try to identify ways that we as a community could try to tackle not just, I know homelessness is a huge issue and it's very multifaceted, but particularly what could be done immediately and kind of in the short and long term to think about solutions that benefited particularly children that are homeless or homeless families. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about that. I know that your expertise is in engineering, but I also know that you're a dad. And so you can kind of put that family hat on and think about how your role at the Guam Housing Corporation could really help Guam's families.
Senator, I think you answered the question. I'm a father, and that's really that would be my approach to addressing that question. I mean, homelessness is, I don't think anyone really has the solution to homelessness, but if you're asking for my personal beliefs, I don't have a particular idea as to how to solve that problem, particularly child homelessness. Honestly, haven't thought too much about that in terms of finding a solution. I'm sorry to say that's my honest answer. I'm not that kind of person to dwell too much on that, but I understand that's something that I would have to address being on the board.
I will say, Gabe, that just your willingness to step forward and to offer what expertise you do have, to me, sends a really good signal. And, I'm here because I support your nomination and because I think that you'll be a great member of the board. And that in and of itself, being able to give of your time and your expertise, I think that's really what Guam needs, is for people who have that kind of expertise and the time to give back to the community, that they do so. And everybody can do that in their own way. And so I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm glad that the chair has decided to hear your nomination, and I support that, and I'm going to encourage my colleagues to do the same. So again, I just thank you for your time. I thank your family for being able to make this commitment to the people of Guam. Sitos Masi.
Thank you, Senator.
And again, Gabriel, Mr. Hugo, we do appreciate your accepting the appointment. I do look forward to working with you and the rest of the board members, and then moving forward with Guam Housing's projects. And do you have anything you would like to state for the record? And if none, sir, this concludes your hearing, and I look forward to submitting your packet for confirmation to the body on our next session. Sir, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, sir. It is now 2:09. We will now proceed to Mr. Zizaki. Senator Zizaki, if you can please come forward, and also Mr. Tapasna. I will start first with the chief, Senator, former FBI agent, current instructor, and former police officer like myself. Sir, Senator, if you please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm honored to sit before you, and Senator Biscoli, thank you for being here. I'm I appreciate the governor's appointment or nominating me to be a Board of Commissioner member and look forward to helping. I've got a long civic history, and I love Guam. And I think the most important piece I recall is when I was in junior high, we had this horrendous typhoon. It was Typhoon Karen. And I think that's when, my recollection is when Gura stood up and built the new village in Jotnia and Sinahaniagani Heights. And that was just to replace the homes that were lost, because Guam was just devastated. And then we had Section 8 housing built all over the place. So Gura's been doing a great job for our community, and I look forward to participating and helping in every way I can.
Thank you, Chief. Senator, Mr. Tapasna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Biscoli. Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Ray Tapasna, and I am the Executive Director at Gura. I come here today to support the nomination of Frank Ishizaki to serve as a member of the Gura Board of Commissioners. I was quite excited when I learned of Governor Lou Leon Guerrero's appointing of Frank to serve on Gura's Dream Team. Mr. Ishizaki is someone I've come to know personally over the past few years, and someone I consider a very good friend and a mentor. Frank truly is the perfect fit for a governing board that has gone through federal scrutiny in recent years. As we all know, Gura is 100% federally funded, but unlike most GovGuam agencies who depend on federal funds, our operation is governed almost entirely by federal statutes and guidelines. Just last week, HUD officials, to include HUD's attorney, came out and put Gura's board and executive management through extensive training. The training included matters involving conflict of interest in procurement, public housing, and Section 8, litigation reporting requirements, Hatch Act, as well as other matters. Surprisingly, the Hatch Act, which ensures federal employees are free from partisan political interference or influence or coercion, applies to all Gura personnel, and yes, Gura's Board of Commissioners as well. It doesn't matter if we are government of Guam or federal employees. In fact, HUD has made it very clear that violations of the Hatch Act or conflicts of interest provision may result in penalties such as loss of federal funding, removal from our respective positions, or in certain cases that most of us are now familiar with, prosecution. I am confident that Frank Ishizaki, being a retired federal employee with the FBI, could have conducted the training that HUD did last week, as he was the gentleman that I spoke to often for guidance when it seemed that I didn't have too many Republican friends left. Mr. Ishizaki was always there for me. In fact, if Frank was on the previous board, perhaps the outcomes may have been much different. But Gura is in great hands now under the leadership of Board Chairman Sabino Flores, and Frank Ishizaki will bring much more professional diversity to a board already loaded with talent. I've been told, be careful what you wish for. Too much talent may bring too much oversight. I personally believe that this is what our government may be lacking, oversight, and I welcome it. So once again, I humbly request that this committee confirm Mr. Frank Ishizaki to the Gura Board of Commissioners. We are honored to have Frank join our dream team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tapasna. Also, I'd like to recognize that we also have testimony or written testimony from Joseph Cameron, one of the members. And Senator Lee, do you have any questions for the senator?
Sudasmasi, Mr. Chair, and again, I want to thank our governor for an excellent nomination. I'm very happy, Senator, that you have taken up this charge and have agreed to assist us in this role. I do just want to note for the record, for those who might not know Senator Shizaki, that he has served the people of Guam and the government of Guam at the University of Guam, at Department of Corrections, at the Guam Police Department, at Homeland Security, here in the Guam legislature. The list goes on and on and on. And he's also a contributor. Many people can hear his words and his thoughts. He provides opinion editorials, and he calls us up every once in a while and says, "Hey, what the heck are you guys doing over there?" It's great to be able to have a sounding board in somebody who has sat in these chairs, who knows the role of the legislature, but also has a lot of other expertise and knowledge to bring to the table. So I'm so glad that you have agreed to the governor's appointment. I will ask you the same questions that I posed to Mr. Hugo just a few moments ago in terms of, I've been looking through your packet. I know that you own and operate your own business. So in terms of conflicts of interest, Senator, do you believe that at any point you may come across a conflict, and how would you deal with that?
Thank you, Senator. I'm not aware of any conflicts that I currently have or for conflicts in the future. But I'm aware of the practices in general about declaring conflicts. So if there is a conflict, I will declare it, and I'll do everything I can to stay out of something.
Excellent. And we also know that you have various roles in our community. So we just want to make sure that you will be able to dedicate the time in preparation for the board meetings and attending the board meetings. Many times we have on many of our boards and commissions some issues with quorum. So we just want to make sure that the individuals that we are confirming to these positions are able to attend and able to really sink their teeth in and dive down into these issues to help our agencies. So I just wanted to see if I could get a verbal commitment from you in terms of the time that is required to sit on this board and actively participate.
I appreciate that question, Senator, and it's a question that my wife raises, but I promise to do the best I can and to participate, barring any unforeseeable issues and problems, but
Well,
I will be there.
Masi, thank you. Siduos Masi to you and to your wife, because we all know that it's a family affair. And I'm really glad that Mr. Tapasnia is here as well, because he has experienced a lot of things over the last few years in terms of things that we envision and our mission and our vision for GURA, and certain times when that has kind of been derailed by certain members of the board in the past. And so I just wanted to ask you, I know that I can say that you certainly have my support, and I'll encourage my colleagues to support you as well, but do you have any comments in terms of you can certainly expect oversight from us, but we also want you to stand up and be a vocal advocate for the people of Guam in your position as a board member. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of expound and explain, maybe based on your prior experience, how sometimes you may have been the only person in the room standing up and just saying that maybe something doesn't smell right, maybe there's something else that we should take a look at. So I just kind of wanted to give you an opportunity to perhaps give the committee an example of where you may have stood up for something that you believed was wrong, something, stood up in opposition to something that you believed was wrong.
Well, thank you for that question. I believe this, Senators, that when we serve our people, we should do everything we can to do good for our community, because I think our people are counting on it. And so I believe in accountability, and I believe in transparency. And if people are not meeting those tasks and expectations, then we should hold their feet to the fire. And so I hope nobody ever has to hold my feet to the fire, because I would do my part to do good for our people.
And thank you very much, sir, for coming on the record, and again for accepting the governor's nomination. I think it's an extremely important position, and we need credible people who are going to bring that accountability, bring that transparency, and that integrity to the job. And so we thank you. Thanks very much for Mr. Tapasnia being here and other members of GURA. So we want to thank you in advance for your service, and I look forward to voting favorably on your nomination. Siduos Masi. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Lee. And Chief Senator, I always ask only 3 questions of any agency that I oversee: is where you at, where you want to go, and how can I help you? And being that Mr. Tapasnia said on his testimony, they told him, be careful what you wish for. Too much talent may bring too much oversight. you're joining. You're going to be joining the dream team. You're part of the dream team, and I look forward to working very closely with all of you. And whenever you need help, just ask. And if you believe you want me to step in and do an oversight hearing on your agency, I know you're not going to want it, Chief, because I'm going to be calling you and I'm going to be saying, really, Chief? And he's going to say, just bring him in. I said, then I'll have no problem with that one. We both, wore the same uniform. I used to wear the blue suiters like yourself before you went to the FBI. And with your background, sir, I look forward to it. And like I asked you up at UG, really? You want to go back in? And you said, yeah. I said, okay. Well, Chief, I'm in full support of your appointment. And I look forward to submitting your packet to the full floor and getting your confirmation at our next session. Is there anything you would like to say, sir?
I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That being said, sir, and there's no one else to testify to the committee, this will conclude the public hearing for you, Chief. Senator, this concludes it. Committee will continue to receive testimony for the next few days. Please address your written testimony to the Committee on General Government Operations and Housing and submit it via email to Senator Joe S. Sinogsi at gmail.com. Jesus Masi for your attendance and participation in today's meeting. And for those at home, thank you for watching. The public hearing for the appointment of Senator Frank Tisizaki is now adjourned. It is now 2:21. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.